I'm Frank the geologist. Welcome to Partridge Point, a secluded little shoreline right on the 45th parallel just south of Alpena, Michigan. Beautiful little spot and a fantastic place to find fossils. Come with me, won't you?
The most difficult part of rock hounding at Partridge Point is finding the dang place. Now, its seclusion is part of its draw, but getting there can be tricky if you've never been there before. It is on this unmarked trail. It is off of South Partridge Point Road. If you accidentally take North Partridge Point Road, it doesn't really matter because it's a big loop, but it's a little bit easier to find from South Partridge Point Road. It's an unmarked trail on your right, and as you can see, it is heavily rutted. If you've got a small, low-riding car, you may want to just park on the main road before this turnoff and then walk in. I do see people walking with their dogs down this road every once in a while. Now you can see all the puddles, all the water there. You can see the snow. I filmed this in early spring. However, if you're hoping that going some other time of year it'll be drier, you're mistaken. This whole area is wetland with a water table that's about an inch below the surface of the ground. Makes it a great place for bird watching. Beautiful natural spot, but it is perpetually soggy. There is no dry time of year to walk out here. Now, as you reach the end of this trail, road, whatever you want to call it, you come to a parking lot. It's a very small parking lot, but there's usually not anybody here, and so a few spaces is really all you need. Your reward for reaching the end of the trail? Rocks. Countless, infinite rocks.
So Partridge Point here has a pretty much unlimited supply of rocks. It is about as rocky a shoreline as you're ever going to find. This is not a great location for looking for agates, for looking for granite or lunokite or any special glacially transported rock, because these rocks are all local. What does that mean? It means they're all very boring gray limestone. What that means also is that they're absolutely wonderful for finding fossils. Out here, you'll find a lot of stuff that looks like this. This is a death plate. I'm seeing a lot of this stuff on the ground right here. Here's another one, in fact. It's kind of hiding under this rock here. Hello. Lots of crinoids. We get brachiopod shell. Ooh, I like pieces like this. Look at that. Just the amount of life preserved on this ancient seafloor. Fantastic. Ooh, have a look at this fossil coral coming right out of the rock at us. There's no skill required to find some of these. Sometimes they're literally coming right out of the rock at you. That looks like maybe a fossil Charlevoix stone, better known as a Favosites coral. Or perhaps it's better known as a Charlevoix stone, but it's a Favosites coral. And that right next to these guys might be a Syringapora coral coming out of the rock there. It's all over here. All over the place. Well, here's one to appreciate, but that you are not taking with you. Here's a pretty good sized horn coral coming right out of the rock. That's about the size of my wrist. I have found horn corals just lying around out here, the size of my arm. and I have taken at least one of them home with me. However, I would not be hammering out of the stone like that. Number one, we don't want to destroy beautiful places. Number two, it ain't worth the effort. That's a lot of work to get that out. So we just enjoy that and save it for the next person to enjoy. If the foliage behind me looks a little sparse, oh, it's because I'm out here in early spring. The leaves haven't come in for most of the trees yet. However, it is some beautiful nature out here. While I was filming earlier, there were a pair of bald eagles circling above me. I could hear sandhill cranes making their god-awful racket in the background. It's a lovely place. Great for bird watching, great for rock collecting, great for just spending some quiet time right on our beautiful lakes. All right, these are bryozoan fossils. I get this close to the camera, but in focus and not in the shade. You guys are beautiful. What we're looking at is that lattice work there. That lattice work is the bryozoan fossil. There is a crinoid stem, a few shells on the top, but really the standout features on this piece are the bryozoans, in my opinion. Well, I think I've just found something that I have never found before. In a world of jagged rocks, this guy stands out just a bit to me. It's round. I have no idea what it's doing, but see that circle in the center? About the shape of a crinoid stem, which makes me believe that this may be a partial crinoid calyx. That would be sort of the middle section, maybe the base of the head if they were to have a head, of a crinoid. I am not a paleontologist or a biologist, so I'm probably not using the right terms. Oh, now would you look at that? That's just lovely. That is an absolutely gorgeous piece of stromatoporoid fossil. I mean, look at that. I hope that's in focus. Look at the structure in that thing. You can see the rings beautifully. Not much to look at on the other side. When you're fossil hunting, you got to make sure that you're spotting the correct side of the rocks. If they're upside down, you'll never see anything. But look at that. That's beautiful. Well, that's nice enough for me to take home as well. One interesting thing about Partridge Point is that it's a very shallow shoreline. It does not bank steeply into the lake. It has a very gentle gradient, which means that small changes in lake level dramatically affect the shoreline. I have been here in the past when the water is all the way over there, right up against that steeper bank. Right now, water's out here. If it were to drop another foot or so, you'd get another 30 or 40 feet of shoreline exposed, full of rocks and fossils that nobody's seen yet because they're not willing to wade out there ankle or knee deep into the water. Or if you are willing to go that deep, you go further 30 feet out where people won't willing to go waist deep. That means every time you come here, the rocks you're looking at are just a little bit different. Because when the water comes up even an inch, you're on a whole different set of shoreline looking at the rocks. So it's pretty interesting. You never know what you're going to find out here. There we go. Nice little Favosites coral, Charlevoix stone. That right next to a nice crinoid stem with some bryozoan fossils in there. But what is this guy? This is not a fossilized pig snout. In fact, is a brachiopod fossil with the interior preserved and exposed. Have a look at that. I think I'll bring him home. That's a beauty. How often you get an inside look at an ancient animal like that? You gotta appreciate it when you do. So often when we visit a rocky shore, we talk about it being covered with rocks, and those rocks are just sitting on the sand. But what's really nice about Partridge Point is that those rocks are sitting on top of bedrock. And so you can see all around you here the very same rocks still set into the earth that you're collecting. So there's no shortage of them. This place will never run out. Really look at what we're actually walking on here. Crinoid stems everywhere. But those crinoids are set right into the bedrock. And they're absolutely everywhere out here. That's all this rock is. You do find the odd glacial erratic out here. Here's something I never found out here before. I thought that's a little odd. Well, where is it? There it is. There's the red. A little piece of jasper in there. This is the pudding stone. That's not one you usually find out here. Hey, I think I spotted a nice little standalone crinoid fossil here. I think I did. Yep. Here we go. Looks like a little screw sticking out of the ground. But hello. Let's get you focused here. There we go. How neat is that? That's a nice piece. I'll take you home. Sometimes it's worth just getting down and taking a close look at the sand and rocks. You might discover that there's more going on there than you realized. You got some crinoid stems. You're seeing that. In fact, there are crinoid fossils scattered all over the place here. Just waiting for you to pick them up, take them home with you. So I'm out here at pretty much the tip of Partridge Point, and I found a couple of nice fossils. Honestly, I come out here once or twice a year, so I find quite a bit. It's a lot of catch and release usually for me, although those couple that I showed off in this video, they're coming home with me. Behind me, you might be able to make out the world's largest cement factory. Beside that is Alpena, which looks pretty small compared to that cement factory, frankly. Yeah, it's a pretty nice shoreline here. It does not go on forever. It does turn into private property back there before too long. Now, yes, in Michigan, you have the right-of-way on the lakes. You can walk through the water. You can walk below the ordinary high water mark. However, these houses are very close to the lake, and there's absolutely no reason to antagonize the locals here. There are more than enough rocks in the very publicly accessible house-free areas of the beach. All right, so there's no reason for you to be going through people's backyards or what they consider to be their backyard, even if it is technically public. Uh, just because you have a right to pass through doesn't mean it's the right thing to do always.
Thank you for joining me at Partridge Point, a beautiful, secluded shoreline, a bit hard to find, but certainly worth the trip. Loaded with a limitless supply of rocks, all dull gray, none of them colorful, but packed with ancient Devonian life. Fossils of crinoid stems, brachiopods, bryozoans, and horn corals. If it lived during the Devonian in our region, you'll find it out here. Located in northeastern Lower Michigan, just south of the city of Alpena, right on Lake Huron, it is certainly worth the trip, and I highly recommend coming. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you out there sometime.